Good evening, hello and welcome along to Perth, Western Australia, to the western suburb of Floreat. We're at the Bendat Basketball Centre for another round of National Wheelchair Basketball League. Tonight it's the belt-up Perth Wheelcats up against the Darwin Salties. It's the top of the table Wheelcats, sitting at 5-1 coming into this weekend, up against the Darwin Salties, last year's gold medalists in the season, who've only played one round so far, but they came out on top, 2-1 over the Wollongong Rollerhawks. Currently, because of only playing 3 games and only having 2 wins, they're a little way down the ladder at the moment, but don't discount the reigning champions, the Darwin Salties. My name's David Eckhart, and I'll be your play-by-play caller tonight for this fixture in the National Wheelchair Basketball League. It's a very cool night in Perth. Temperature expected to get down somewhere around 4 or 5 degrees. Inside, well, temperature's probably sitting at around 13 or 14 degrees at the moment. A good night for wheelchair basketball. We've got, as I said, the Wheelcats up against the Darwin Salties. Our referees tonight being led by Ethan Lloyd. Alongside him, Rod Hislop and Theodore Stanker, the officials in charge tonight. And the starting five's about to roll out onto the court. We're about 90 seconds away, or a little under 90 seconds away from tip-off. For the Wheelcats, they'll have the starting five of Frank Pinder, Cooper Spillane, Tom McHugh, Jake Kavanagh, the captain, and Phil Evans. While for the Salties, they're going to come in with a star-studded lineup. Jalen Brown, who's leading a lot of the categories statistically. The Samuel White, the experience of Yannick Blair. Thomas O'Neill Thorne is the skipper, and he has been around since he was a young lad. I remember seeing Tom first come into the competition as a teenager, and then the last one on the court will be Luis Eduardo Yasso Sandoval. We'll just call him Yasso tonight, because it's just going to, I have to keep saying the whole name. We're going to take too many play phases out. The Wheelcats are wheeling out onto the court, saying hello to Ethan and Theodore. Rod Hislop at the score bench, making sure it's all okay. And the Salties about to come out onto the court. As I said, they'll be led by Tom O'Neill Thorne in the number 15 jersey tonight. Yannick Blair is in 10. Sam White in 3. The 0 is the superstar, Jalen Brown. Watch out for him tonight on this live stream. And finally, rolling out is Luis Eduardo Yasso, number 33. Looks like Tom McHugh will take the tip for the Wheelcats up against Luis Eduardo. The score table's ready. The referees are ready. And the game is underway. First tip to the Wheelcats. First possession. And out wide straight away. We have Cooper Spillane work his way into the key. And there's a foul on Yasso Sandoval under the key weight on Tom McHugh. So a reset on the shot clock to 14 in offence. So the Wheelcats bring the ball back into play through the captain Kavanagh. Kavanagh to McHugh. McHugh under the basket again. Knocked away by Tom O'Neill Thorne. No backcourt violation, but run out of time. So the shot clock ruining the chances for the first score for the Wheelcats. Meanwhile, Jalen Brown sitting high in the chair will inbound the ball to Tom O'Neill Thorne. And Salties get their first look in offence. Jalen Brown off balance, can't keep the ball in control. Mopped up, and Jalen Brown now back in his chair over to Sandoval, Yasso Sandoval. First shot is short, and the defensive board comes away for the Wheelcats. And the foul on Jalen Brown. Second one recorded on the board already. And away we go. This is the Wheelcats now with Jake Kavanagh out on the right wing. It's faced by Brown. Has help through Evans. Long range shot missed, and offensive board to the Wheelcats. McHugh now setting up from the free throw line, and the bucket doesn't come. All this practice, it doesn't work. The outlet pass from Louis Sandoval to Tom O'Neill-Thorne, and the scoring starts with a bucket to the Australian representative, Thomas O'Neill-Thorne. Salties leading 2-0. Last year's champions, of course. They've only lost one game in the season last weekend to the Roller Hawks. Currently, the Wheelcats also have only one in the L column at 1-5. Quick transition and errant hand going in there. The foul's called on Joel Swadling. It's interesting. I don't see Joel out there. But a foul called on the Wheelcats anyway. So we have the Salties in control. Yannick Blair out to O'Neill-Thorne from the corner. Doesn't go. And the rebound comes away through Cooper Spillane. Clarence McCarthy-Grogan coming in for Luis Eduardo. He's racked up a couple of fouls already. Interesting. I'll need to clear that scoreboard, saying there's an awful lot of fouls on there. We've only been playing 2 minutes. We'll work off the stat sheet. And Tom McHugh gets the Wheelcats on the board for their first points. 2 points apiece now, early stages, first period. Back in the hands of Jalen Brown, who's tapped from behind Cooper Spillane. Call for that foul from referee Hislop. And Brown, in the act of shooting, will go to the line. Jalen Brown has only played 3 games in the opening series last weekend in Darwin, but he has come away cramming his name onto the stat sheet in a lot of categories, either 1, 2 or 3. He makes the first and misses the second. McHugh with the rebound. And red shirts going into everywhere. Salty setting up in a zone. It's Kavanagh now. Kavanagh finds Spillane. Spillane all the way across to McHugh, and just falls out of the hands of Frank Pinder. Out of court. Frank being the low pointer, a 1.0 classification. This is Tom O'Neill-Thorne into the front court. Back to Yannick Blair. Blair to Brown. Brown, the long-range shot, misses the 3. It's cleaned out by Evans. Evans releases Spillane. Spillane down the right wing. The referee's keeping an eye on the contact between Kavanagh and O'Neill-Thorne in the backcourt. This time the foul has been called on Yannick Blair. Substitutions coming in for the Wheelcats. Spillane goes off, Evans goes off. And coming in for their first wheel of the night, we have Simon Corrick in number 8 and Ben Moncrief, Big Ben in 25. This is Ben now with the ball. Confronted by Blair, who the last foul was called on. Moncrief across to McHugh and then to Pinder. Pinder putting it in for 2. So we've got the scoreboard saying 5 points to 2, but I'm pretty sure it's 4 points to 3. Need to work it the other way. Now it's corrected. So the Wheelcats are leading 4 points to 3 after 3.5 minutes of play in this opening quarter. Offensive foul called on Tom McHugh, and Jalen Brown will go to the line again, shooting 2. Alex Blackmore will check into the game, and Sam White comes off. Jalen Brown, 1 for 2, the first time at the charity stripe. Has a look, a couple of bounces, and this time it's a bit long. 1 from 3 at the moment. Salty's trailing by the 1 point. Brown again. Lines it up. This time it rolls through, so he's 50% from the free throw line tonight. And the scores are back to level, 4 points apiece. And there's a foul on Tom O'Neill-Thorne. has impeded the progress of Tom McHugh. Referee Hislop has to race across to the second show court here in Perth. Retrieve the ball. And McHugh will go to the foul line. Both teams the Salties are already in foul trouble with 5. So McHugh, first chance from the charity stripe. Nothing but net. Extends the Perth lead by that 5-4. Deep breath, and away it goes. Nothing but net again. Perfect from 10 feet for Tom McHugh, who's now wedged in between 3 players. Going round the outside now. Clarence McCarthy-Grogan brings the ball into the front court. A long pass, looking for Jalen Brown. But big Ben Moncrief cuts that off. Releases McHugh. McHugh into the front court now. Plenty of time to get this shot away as we click over the 6-minute mark. Long range pass is picked off. But no control there from Alex Blackmore and lands back in the hands of Moncrief. Moncrief gives it to McHugh. The long-range shot bounces away off the iron, but it does hit the ring. So a 14-second reset in offence. And Jake Kavanagh can't get the shot away. Last hands knocked out of bounds by a salty hand over the back of Kavanagh. So Perth still in control with 10 seconds left to get the shot away. This is Moncrief. Moncrief across the key, finds McHugh. Confronted by McCarthy-Grogan, who did enough to foot the shot off. No addition to the score. This is Jalen Brown now. Brown to McCarthy-Grogan. McCarthy-Grogan almost stripped by Frank Pinder on the way pass. The errant pass comes off McHugh's chair, which will be a Salties ball from the sideline with substitutions. Coming back in, Phil Evans. And Cooper Spillane comes back on. Gives Tom McHugh a rest. And Simon Corrick as well. So Coach Ettridge swinging the changes, giving his players plenty of opportunity out there on the court. O'Neill Thorne off the glass for 2. Will go to the line for and 1. Scores now level, 6 apiece. And O'Neill Thorne with a chance to put the Salties back ahead as we reach the halfway mark of this first quarter. The Bendet Basketball Centre in Floreat, Western Australia. Game 1 of 3 this weekend. O'Neill Thorne does put the extra on the board, and the Salties are up by that 1, 6 points to 5. As I said, it's the first game of 3 for these boys this weekend. They play again on Saturday and Sunday, and this is likely to be a very close game all night. It's the current ladder leaders against the defending champions. No score for the Wheelcats in offence. Tom O'Neill Thorne now with the ball on the far side. Finds Jalen Brown, Clarence McCarthy-Grogan, I beg your pardon, whose inbound pass finds Jalen Brown. Frank Pender called for the foul, a blocking foul. And before any further play can take place, we have a timeout. Timeout called by Coach Ettridge. I think this is more a case of just slowing things down. Certainly hasn't been a blowout. 7 points to 6 currently. 4 minutes 36 left on the clock. And of the 7 points for the Darwin Salties, 4 of them have come from Jalen Brown and 2 of them from the free throw line. 3 points to Tom O'Neill Thorne and, beg your pardon, need to read this properly. Tom O'Neill Thorne has 5 of the points. Jalen Brown, they've only given 1 point to. I'm pretty sure he's got 2 from the charity stripe. And Clarence McCarthy-Grogan says that they've given him a point somewhere along the line as well. But I'm pretty sure it was Jalen Brown. Went 1 for 2, then 1 for 2 on his 2 times to the charity stripe. Looking at the Perth Wheelcats then, of their 6 points, we have points all across the board here. We've got 4 points to Tom McHugh, 2 to Frank Pinder. There's your 6, and they're in the starting lot, the starters. Tom McHugh is now just wheeled off. So 7 points to 6 as we come out of the timeout. Call the first one of 2 available to Coach Ettridge. Tracy York, very calm and collected. And David Gould, her assistant, who was here last weekend with the Adelaide Thunder women's program. Surprised he didn't stay for the week, David. So this is Jalen Brown at the line. Makes the first, extends the lead. It's now 8 points to 6. And Browns gets 2. 2 for 2. Now, the first offensive set since the timeout. It's Jake Kavanagh. Kavanagh uses Brown. Moncrief as a screen to Spillane. To Evans for 2. A well-worked move by the Perth Wheelcats in offence, catching the available player each time. Brown to O'Neill Thorne round the outside. Finds Brown from free throw range, and he knows how far that is now. Another 2. Jalen Brown. Big shot from Moncrief, looking for 3. Bounces away. No addition to the score then. Meanwhile, ball's back with Brown to Thorne. O'Neill Thorne for a couple more. And the Salties now have a 5-point advantage. With 3.5 left in this opening 10-minute period. Tom McHugh looking to wheel back in for the Wheelcats. Phil Evans can't get it to drop. It's rebounded by McCarthy Grogan. Releases O'Neill Thorne. O'Neill Thorne now works his way with Yannick Blair going through the keyway. Keeps the ball in play. Bounces away. Back to Tom O'Neill Thorne with 7 seconds on the clock. Let's fly for a 3 to extend the lead. It's now double the Perth Wheelcats scoreline. 16 points to 8. O'Neill Thorne making a grab for the ball fairly. Interrupts the pass, and Jalen Brown will be uninterrupted to the basket for 2 more. The margin's out to double figures now. Salties 10, Wheelcats 8. And all the damage is coming from the combination of O'Neill Thorne and Jalen Brown. This is Evans now for the Wheelcats. Has Moncrief. Moncrief, long-range pass. Spillane. Inside pass picked off by O'Neill Thorne. Bit of help from Clarence McCarthy-Grogan. To Brown. Brown finds Blackmore back on the court. O'Neill Thorne now. Tempted to go from long range. Sets up. And finds a key lane into the keyway and puts it off the glass for 2. Substitutions. So Yannick Blair has a rest for the Salties. And we have Sam White back on. Tom McHugh has come back onto the court for the Wheelcats, giving Big Ben a rest. McHugh now. Looks like he'll be the go-to guy. This is Kavanagh, the captain of the Wheelcats, to Evans. Evans into McHugh. McHugh lines it up and drops it in for 2. Stops a little run there for the Salties. Margin back to 10. McCarthy Grogan now in defence. Brings the ball into the front court. And it's a foul called off the ball. Oh, not a foul. Might have been someone out of their chair. Interrupted the flow. It's McCarthy Grogan now. Infield pass. Comes to O'Neill Thorne. Back to McCarthy Grogan. Lines it up for 3 off the glass and bounces away. Rebounded by Kavanagh. Kavanagh releases McHugh. Back to Kavanagh. Coming up top of the keyway. Out to the elbow. Bounce pass off to Spillane. Spillane looking for an option. Confronted by 2 chairs of Salties. Spillane now. Looking for an option and passes it over the top of McHugh. Cleaned up by O'Neill Thorne, who releases McCarthy Grogan. Grogan. Bounce pass to Brown for 2. Oh, he's missed that. So he's not going to the line for an and 1. He's going to the line for 2 shots. Cooper Spillane called on the foul there. Jalen Brown averaging 28 points per game. Knocks in another one. Short it may have been, according to the call, but it's done enough to bounce forward and into the ring. Another 2 for 2. Tom O'Neill-Thorne, the number 15 and captain of the Salties, is averaging 10 assists per game. So you know that when these two are on the court together, there's going to be some action for the Salties. O'Neill-Thorne pops in another couple. He's not shy on the stat sheet for scoring either, averaging 16 points a game. As we head to the last 30 seconds of action in this first period, it's 24 points to 10 in favour of the visitors, the Darwin Salties. Shot very much short and cleaned up by McCarthy Grogan to Brown for another 2. Ball into the front court just in time. McHugh receives a bullet pass from Spillane and pops it in for a couple, and that is quarter time here at the Bendad Basketball Centre. The scoreboard saying a 26 points to 12 game, and Jalen Brown leading all scorers at the moment. He has 11 points out there for the Salties. Remembering he's averaging 28 points each time he goes out on the court. Only played 3 games, so you work that out. That's a lot of points over 3 games against the Rollerhawks last weekend in Darwin. But here tonight in Perth, WA, it's 26 points to 12. Let's see if we can pick up a box score for this particular game. 26 points to 12. And we'll look at the box score now and have a look and see who the leaders are across the board for the Perth Wheelcats. Frank Pinder has 2 points. Cooper Spillane, none yet. 8 points to Tom McHugh. 2 points to Phil Evans. And off the bench, there doesn't seem to be any there. That's the 12 points. 8, 2 and 2. For the Salties, Jalen Brown, as I said, has 11. Tom O'Neill-Thorne with 14. There's 25 of the 26. The one other is McCarthy Grogan. Although, from my memory, I would dispute that. I think that 1 point they've given him from the free throw line might have been Jalen Brown. We'll have to go back and have a look at the replay a little bit later. But we'll go with what the statisticians are calling at the moment. It's a two-person scoring attack for the Darwin Salties through Tom O'Neill-Thorne. He has 14 on 6 for 7 shooting. And Jalen Brown on 3 for 4 from the field with 11 points and 100% from 2-point range. None for 1 of 3-pointers and 5 from 6 from the charity strut. So we're looking good there for the Salties through those 2 players. The 0 of Jalen Brown, as I said, averaging 28. Tom O'Neill-Thorne averaging 16 points a game. He's already got 14 after 1 period of 10 minutes. What can Ben Ettridge do to these Perth Wildcats? The current ladder leaders, 5-1 record coming into this weekend. They're down by 14 at the first break. Second quarter action about to get underway. Phil Evans is out there. We've got Frank Pinder, Tom McHugh, Jake Kavanagh and Cooper Spillane for the Wheelcats. For the Salties, Yannick Blair, Tom O'Neill-Thorne, Jalen Brown, Sam White and Clarence McCarthy-Grogan. First shot taken by Yannick Blair, bounces away and cleaned up ultimately by the defence of the Perth Wheelcats. Into attack now through Jake Kavanagh. Kavanagh bouncing around looking for options. He's got 2 players stuck in the back court. So it's 3-on-3 in the front court and Kavanagh is looking for an options, running out of time. Eventually decides he's going to take the shot himself. It's too long and it bounces away. McCarthy Grogan with the rebound. This time releases O'Neill-Thorne. Averages 10 assists per game and he's averaging 16 points a game and he's already got 16 points in this game with the 2 more points there. His first points of the second period. The lead's getting out. It's 16 points at the moment in favour of the visitors from Darwin. This is Jake Kavanagh taking the shot and bounces away. Jalen Brown with the rebound. McCarthy Grogan calling the plays from the backcourt, now into the front. Looking for options. He's corralled by Kavanagh. O'Neill Thorne all by himself, lines up for three and drops another tray. 3 more to O'Neill Thorne. Takes his total up to 19 already out of the 31 on the board for the Salties. This could be a big night for Tom O'Neill Thorne if he keeps going like this. Cooper Spillane now uses Evans. Evans at the free throw line, passes back to Spillane. Spillane has McHugh out on the elbow. Long range pass finds Jake Kavanagh, just keeping it infield. Gets the shot away with a second left on the shot clock, and it's short and it bounces away. Cleaned up by Jalen Brown for the Salties, who has an almost open lane. It's blocked off now by Cooper Spillane. Flicked out to O'Neill Thorne, who goes for another 3. This time it bounces away, and Spillane was able to position the chair to block out. Sorry, it was McHugh blocking out O'Neill Thorne. This is Pinder. Pinder to Kavanagh. Ball's bouncing around under the keyway and cleaned up by O'Neill Thorne. Flicks it off to Brown. Brown to Blair. And Blair back to Brown. Gets the 2. Cooper Spillane with the foul, and we'll get Jalen Brown back on his wheels, and he'll go to the line for the bonus. Ben Moncrief. Wheel back in. Phil Evans having a rest. Spillane also coming out, and Simon Corrick coming back in. Bonus is good. 34-12. Spillane looks like he's getting himself in a wee bit of foul trouble out there. So Wheelcats answer in the best possible way, putting 2 points on the board. Tracy York is sending another substitute to the bench to check in. This time it's Melissa Dunn. Meanwhile, the scoring continues for the Salties. Another 2 takes the score to 36. 36-14. Lead out to over 20 now. This is Moncrief being forced wide into Corrick. Corrick is confronted by O'Neill Thorne, forcing a jump ball. Possession arrow says it's going to be a Perth Wheelcats ball. Melissa Dunn wheels in, and it'll be Sam White taking a rest. So, Perth ball under the basket. From Moncrief to Kavanagh. Kavanagh to McHugh. McHugh gets himself set under the basket. Shot comes off the glass and bounces away to Jalen Brown for the rebound. Brown rebounds. Works his way into the front court. Finds Yannick Blair. Ball's too quick for Yannick, and he's lost control. And of the wheelchair as well. But he's okay in the backcourt. Gets himself back on his wheels without having to stop the clock. Moncrief now off the glass. No good. And the rebound from O'Neill Thorne. Brown releases McCarthy Grogan. Here goes his friend Tom O'Neill Thorne. Hand in the way from Moncrief, but it doesn't stop. Jalen Brown picking that up and putting in another 2 on the board. Yannick Blair being kept out of the action in the backcourt. As Moncrief goes into the front, has Simon Corrick wheeling up and confronted by McCarthy Grogan. McHugh to Kavanagh. Kavanagh for 2. Bounces away, but he's fouled. Melissa Dunn with the foul. So it'll be Kavanagh to the line for a couple. Clarence McCarthy Grogan goes off. And for the first time tonight, we get, not the first time, the second time, Luis Salvado is back on the court. Played only a few minutes in the first quarter before his foul trouble forced him to the sidelines, but Luis Eduardo Jasso Sandoval is back on the court. O'Neill Thorne grabs the loose ball, releases Jalen Brown. Very quick down the court, and so is Frank Pinder. Forces an errant pass from Brown. It's cleaned up by the Wheelcats. This is Tom McHugh, off balance. The shot doesn't go, and not in the act of shooting according to referees. But Jalen Brown does pick up the foul and will go off. Perth Wheelcats calling a timeout before the play resumes from the sideline. Jalen Brown picking up the foul, and surprised that the referees didn't consider that act of shooting, despite the fact that McHugh was totally out of control and out of balance. So, second of two timeouts being called by referee Coach Ettridge, trying to work out where we can go, where we can stop the bleeding. Leads out at 23 points. The reigning champions, the gold medalists from the season 23-24, or 24-25 even, as we head into this particular season 25 proper, and the Salties 2-1 coming into tonight. Looking good to make it 3-1 after this game, the first of three in Perth this weekend between these two teams. Just a quick look at the stat sheet. Cooper Spillane will be on the sideline for a wee while. He's sitting on 3 fouls, only allowed 5, of course. And on the other side of the ledger, Luis Eduardo picked up those 2 fouls early, and he's only just come back into the game. No one else in foul trouble. Jalen Brown picking up his second foul, and Tracy York giving him a rest. He's done a power of work in the opening quarter and a half. Already has 16 points. Ben Moncrief from long range was on target. It was just a wee bit long, and there is a quick outlet pass from McCarthy Grogan. Tom O'Neill Thorne quick enough to drag it in. Now they've got plenty of time to set up a play. McCarthy Grogan now round to the elbow, gets knocked away by Moncrief, picked up by Melissa Dunn, keeps it in play, but only as far as the Wheelcats defence through Moncrief, who releases Kavanagh. Kavanagh confronted by White. Has Moncrief as a backup. Back to Kavanagh. Over the top of Melissa Dunn. Doesn't fall. That's the second foul very quickly on Melissa. Kavanagh now from the free throw line. Makes the first one, nothing but net. And makes the second. Just narrows the gap just that a little bit more. McCarthy Grogan in the backcourt, confronted by Pinder. Gets it into the front court to O'Neill Thorne. O'Neill Thorne has Jasso Sandoval for 2. He's now hemmed in. He's got players all around him. He can't move without fouling. Moncrief now to McHugh. Still in the backcourt. Need to get it across. They do just in time. Wheelcats from McHugh on to Moncrief. Moncrief working around the left side of the keyway. Gets it inside to Kavanagh. Off the ring. Doesn't bounce in. Rebound. Kavanagh to Moncrief. Moncrief's shot doesn't go either. And a jump ball situation through Moncrief and Jasso Sandoval. It'll be a Salties ball. As Cooper Spillane comes back in. Phil Evans comes back in. Corrick and McHugh take a rest. Tracy York still has one untried player at the moment. Hasn't come on. We're waiting to see if Jamie Chapman comes on, number 17. Yes, he does. He's wheeling up to the score bench now. So this is McCarthy Grogan. Pass looking for O'Neill Thorne. Can't find him. Evans keeps it in play. Has Moncrief on the trail. Wheels his way into the keyway. Sets himself off the glass. Can't go in. McCarthy Grogan for the Salties. Gets the rebound. Jasso Sandoval to O'Neill Thorne. O'Neill Thorne into the front court. Dribbling with both hands. Jasso Sandoval off the glass for two from the same place he got it last time. 42-17. The margin's getting out. 25 points already. 3.5 left in this first half. As Cooper Spillane finds Ben Moncrief. As he falls out of his chair, he releases Evans. Evans can't make the shot. Moncrief works his way back onto his wheels in the backcourt, leaving the Wheelcats one short in defence at the moment. Jasso Sandoval, from where he scored his last 2 points, this time across the keyway to McCarthy Grogan. Off to Alex Blackmore for two. His first points on the night. And a substitution called. And Blackmore gets his 2 points and comes to the bench. And James Chapman comes in for his first minutes of the game. High fives all round on the Salties bench for young Blackmore. Wheelcats now in offence through Moncrief. Moncrief has Evans and Spillane now. Spillane sets up for a shot. No, he's going to flick it away to Evans. Moncrief lets it go with 7 seconds to go for the three. Thank you very much. And the Wheelcats are up to 20 points. More substitutions coming. Sam White wheeling to the game. Just working out who's coming off. Melissa Dunn will come off. In a little bit of foul trouble in the minutes that she's been on. Tom O'Neill Thorne has worked his way from ground level back to chair level, back on his feet, so to speak. Clarence McCarthy Grogan, one pass into the front court. O'Neill Thorne seems to find an awful lot of space. Back to McCarthy Grogan. McCarthy Grogan to O'Neill Thorne. These two, they're waxing with the ball to Jasso Sandoval, who's off for that shot and rebounded defensively from Ben Moncrief. Moncrief now into the front court, looking for options. Jake Kavanagh comes working his way through the keyway. Pass misses everyone. It's tipped away by Salties. Evans will restart from the sideline. Inbound pass finds captain in Kavanagh. Kavanagh confronted by his opposite number, the captain for the Salties, O'Neill Thorne. Gets around him with a bit of effort to Moncrief again for three off the front of the ring. And an offensive rebounder, Phil Evans, coming through the keyway, knocked away by Jasso Sandoval. 97 seconds left in the first half. The Salties have opened up a lead, 24 points. It's 44-20. The closing stages of this second period. Evans now. Back to Kavanagh. Kavanagh has Pinder rolling through. Doesn't use him. Back to Moncrief. Moncrief with the time running out. Releases the shot off the rim. So another 14 offensive seconds if they want them. And the ball goes out of court. And that took 5 seconds for the Perth Wheelcats to lose possession, but they keep control. So a minute 18 left in the first half with 9 seconds to get a shot away for the Wheelcats. Spillane confronted by Chapman. Evans has the ball and releases it just in time. Again off the ring, but this time it's cleaned up by the Salties defence. And Jasso Sandoval finds O'Neill Thorne in the front court. Works his way into an offensive position and he's blocked. It's Ben Moncrief will wear that foul. And it'll be a Salties ball from the sideline. inside the last minute now, heading towards half-time. O'Neill Thorne looks for and finds Jasso Sandoval. Back to the basket. Works his way into a scoring position and puts 2 in. Wheelcats now with time on the clock now for at least 2 more possessions up and down the court. Spillane. This time Moncrief with his back to the basket. Can't get it to go. And Jasso Sandoval cleans up. O'Neill Thorne. Quick hands. Keeps the ball in play. McCarthy Grogan goes into the keyway. Shot won't count. It's waved away. That's an offensive foul. And it's going to be called on. Player getting up off the floor. Can't see with O'Neill Thorne helping it. It's James. Yes, James Chapman. Called for a charging foul, an offensive foul. So the Wheelcats now in possession of the ball with the last seconds remaining. If they can wipe a bit of time off the clock, they won't give the chance to the Salties. But they do. They get a nice 2-point shot in the end to Phil Evans. O'Neill Thorne, the last shot of the half, drops it in right on the siren. And we're just shy of 50 points after 20 minutes of play. 48 points to 22 in favour of the Darwin Salties. And that's a big 20 minutes of action, and mainly through Jalen Brown and Tom O'Neill Thorne. We're going to take a break here from the Bendet Basketball Centre, where the top of the table Perth Wheelcats have a bit of work to do if they want to remain that way. Earlier games tonight saw wins to the Roller Hawks over the Southern District Spartans, 62 points to 50, and the Manly Wheel Eagles, 65 to 44 over the Southern District's Titans. Here in Perth, it's the Perth Wheelcats 22 trailing the Darwin Salties 48. Welcome back to the Bendat Basketball Centre in the western suburb of Floreat here in Perth, Western Australia, as we recap the first half between the Perth Wheelcats, on the top of the table Perth Wheelcats coming to this weekend, who scored just 22 points in the opening 20 minutes of play. The Darwin Salties coming off a series win at home last week against the Roller Hawks. Their opening series. They're 2-1 last weekend, and they're looking good here in Perth in game 1 of 3. They've got 48 points on the board at half-time. Led by Tom O'Neill-Thorne, who has 23 points. Averaging 16 on the season, he's got 23 already to half-time. 4 rebounds, and we're also going with Tom O'Neill-Thorne. And he's got 5 assists, averaging 10 assists per game on the season so far. So he's dominating this game. Jalen Brown, who picked up 2 fouls late in the second quarter to go off with a rest, he has 17 points. He's got 5 rebounds and 1 assist in there as well. So they're the leaders for the visitors. There's 40 points there between those 2 players. We've got Luis Eduardo Jasa Sandoval has 6 to pick up the slack on the scoring, while Jalen Brown was on the bench. For the Perth Wheelcats, 22 points, not much in the game in a half for the top of the table, so Coach Etheridge would have had some serious talking to do at half-time. We've got 7 points to Jake Kavanagh, 6 points to Tom McHugh, and 3 points to Ben Moncrief. There's 16 points out of the 22. The rest spread across the rest of the team. So, I beg your pardon, Tom McHugh has 8 points. That's a quick update on the box score there. So 18 points of the 22 to those 3 players. But it's being dominated at the moment by the number 15, Tom O'Neill-Thorne, the captain of the Darwin Salties, with 23 points. To half-time, Jalen Brown with 17. So the Hooters going. We're about to get underway for this second half action. Let's see if the net is wider down the end that the Wheelcats are shooting for this time. It certainly was wide enough for 48 points to go in the first half for the Darwin Salties. Possession of the ball to start the second half with Cooper Spillane. Spillane finds Phil Evans, back to Spillane, back to Evans. This is Frank Pinder now. Pinder giving it off to McHugh. McHugh to Evans. Ball movement. Kavanagh through to Spillane, off the glass, misses. But there's a foul called under the basket. It's on Jasa Sandoval. Starting the second half like he started the first, getting a couple of fouls quickly. That's his 3rd. Spillane then to the line. Makes the first. And the second one bounces away. So 1 point to start the second half for the Wheelcats. Cooper Spillane on the board for the first time. Jasso Sandoval falling away. Puts it in for 2. He now is up to 8 points. Wheelcats with the ball now. The Salties with the 2 to Jasso Sandoval. Brings up the half century. The bat was raised to acknowledge the 50 points. Tom McHugh all the way across court, and it's just too far out of reach for Jake Kavanagh. Didn't have the dexterity to drag that in. Yannick Blair goes for a wheel across the second show court. Picks up the ball and bring it back. So 2 points to 1 in the opening 45 seconds. 50 points to 23. A 26-point lead at half-time has gone out to 27. As Yannick Blair now brings the ball into court through Tom O'Neill-Thorne. 23 points in the first half of play. Dishes off to White and then charges into a defensive player. A turnover of possession. Yannick Blair's caught in a wheelchair sandwich, which locks him in the back court. It also means that there's precious few Wheelcats in offence. Kavanagh works his way around O'Neill Thorne. Gets the ball over to McHugh. McHugh, the top of the key, confronted by Jasso Sandoval, locks him in. We've got Evans and player on the floor, Frank Pinder, which means we'll stop play for safety's sake. So we get the 1 point player back on his wheels. And the restart from the sideline. Perth in possession with just 6 seconds left to get the shot away. It's Evans into Kavanagh. Kavanagh confronted by Blair. He's going to have to take the long-range shot. It hits the ring but bounces away. Jasso Sandoval with the defensive board. Releases O'Neill Thorne. Back to Jasso Sandoval. And it's picked off by Phil Evans for the Wheelcats. He needs to wait now because all his players are heading back into the defensive half. Kavanagh now across to McHugh. McHugh passes that ball away. Evans just couldn't keep it in play. Just a wheel on the sideline as he got his hand to it. So turnover play. It's like Sam White just tightening the feet into the foot plates. And now putting the waistband back on. And we're ready to roll. So White now will inbound the pass to O'Neill Thorne. And the clock will start. 8 minutes to go into the three-quarter time. Salties with a comfortable lead. Jasso Sandoval too tall under the basket. Can't get the ball to fall, but a little help from Jalen Brown on the rebound and the putback. Sees the Salties go to 52. Brown up to 19 points. Well on his way to 28. His season average, 28 points per game. Kavanagh off the ring for 2. We've got locked wheels somewhere. We're ready to go. The Salties are locking Kavanagh out of action through Jasso Sandoval. O'Neill Thorne now. He has Brown from the free throw line. Hits the front of the rim. Falls to McHugh in the defensive board. And this ball somehow rolls over the shoulder of Kavanagh into his lap. It's a nice trick play. We've got player down in Frank Pinder. And he's a 1 point classification. He's going to need some help. He gets it from Sam White. Back on his wheels. So once again, for safety's sake, we'll stop the clock, stop the play. And we'll restart from the sideline. Evans into Kavanagh. Back to Evans, who looks baseline. Flicks it out to Spillane. Spillane wheeling backwards away from the basket. Gets a friendly roll. That ring does look bigger down that end. Lots of scoring. Tracy York coming up to the bench. She's going to be looking for a timeout. Jasso Sandoval cruises his way into the keyway. Can't make the shot, but does get the defensive or the offensive board. Knocks it away to Tom O'Neill Thorne. To Jalen Brown for 3, and it hits the front of the ring and bounces away. Gets his own rebound off the glass. Can't get that to fall either. And this is Tom McHugh confronted by Jalen Brown. Finds Phil Evans. Evans has Pinder coming in as support. Doesn't use him. Uses McHugh instead on the left-hand side. Kavanagh at top of the key. Not using. Uses Spillane right away across the court to the right-hand side. Working his way with help from Evans into the key. Kavanagh off the glass. Misses. And Yannick Blair picks up the ball. Timeout called. Tracy York got her wish. She's called her first timeout of the game. 1 of 3 she's got in the second half. With a 25-point lead, 52 points to 27. So slowish start. It was 48 to 22 at the first change. So a 5-4 opening in favour of the Wheelcats, taking the margin down from 26 to 25 in the first 3 minutes and 40 seconds. does Tracy York want to talk to her players about? Maybe stop the flow. Obviously, 5 points very quickly in that opening 3 or so minutes. Probably not to her liking, but goodness gracious, with a 25-point lead, I think she's got too much to be worried about. The players listening intently, though. Meanwhile, down the other end, Ben Ettridge has the rapt attention of the boys, all the boys in red, and ready to come out after the 60-second timeout, drawing up a couple of plays. The talk at halftime would have been to limit any further hemorrhaging, and they've done that so far in the opening 3 and a bit minutes. So, Joseph Sandoval, Brown, White, Blair and O'Neill Thorne for the Salties. Pinder, Kavanagh, Spillane, Evans and McHugh for the Wheelcats. The same 5 that were on court when the timeout was called. Yannick Blair from the baseline drops it in for 2 nicely. It's another wheelchair player with national experience, Yannick Blair. Spillane now works his way past Blair, or tries to. Blair doing a good job defensively, keeping Spillane well away from shooting area. A defensive board dragged in by Tom O'Neill Thorne. Clash of wheels between Kavanagh and Brown. Brown momentarily off balance, gets the ball into the keyway and then loses balance. And now it takes a bit of time. Rest, gets himself back on his wheels, and Brown will go to the line. Charity stripe. The statisticians have him at 7 from 9. Well, it's now 8 from 10. And makes the second one. 9 from 11 from the charity stripe. And he brings up his 20th and 21st points of the game. Wheelcats now working their way into attack through McHugh and Kavanagh. Yannick Blair hoping to get a hand in there. Mistimed it. McHugh loses control of the ball and it's picked up by Jassa Sandoval. Draws the foul, this time from Tom McHugh. Jordan Moritz coming in for his first wheel. Cooper Spillane goes out, so does Jake Kavanagh. And Big Ben McCreef comes back into the game as well. Alex Blackmore has come into the game at the expense of Sam White. And Blackmore brings the ball into court through plenty of hands. Finishes with Yannick Blair for 2 more. As the Salties continue their scoring spree. Doesn't matter which end of the court. This is Moncrief to Pinder. Pinder has Moritz going into the keyway, confronted by Sandoval. McHugh now across to Moncrief. Moncrief wheels his way to the free throw line to Evans to Moritz for 2. His first points of the game in his first minutes on court. Tom O'Neill Thorne now for the Salties to Brown. Called that combination a lot in the first half. Tom O'Neill Thorne to Brown. Blair getting involved now, as is Jassa Sandoval with his time on court. He's limited in the first half with the fouls very quickly. Spent a lot of time sitting on the bench on those 2 fouls. This is Moncrief. Works his way into the shooting area. Off to Moritz. No, it's McHugh. One of the M's. Plenty of them out there. Tom McHugh with 2 more. Jalen Brown. Bounce pass across the court to O'Neill Thorne. Back to Brown. Scores 2. Draws a foul. Fouls on McHugh. We'll go to the line for 1. Substitutions. Clarence McCarthy-Grogan coming back in. And who's going to take the rest? Tom O'Neill Thorne, captain. Wheels off. Good night's work from Tom O'Neill Thorne. 23 points at the moment. Wheelcats into the front court. Through McHugh, Moncrief, Moritz. Told you there's a few M's out there. Back to McHugh, to Pinder. And 2 points to Frank Pinder. Draws some applause from the crowd at the Bendat Basketball Centre and the John Gardner Show Court. Clarence McCarthy-Grogan. Behind the back pass, finds Jalen Brown, unattended. He's now confronted by McHugh and Moncrief. Off the glass, doesn't go. And McHugh with the rebound, drags it in. Tom McHugh now, working his way into the front court. Wheeling left and right. Finishes out on the right, almost on the baseline. Into Pinder, off the glass. Doesn't go. Jalen Brown with the rebound and then off balance. Knocks the ball out of court. Moritz has already spent some time on court, got some points, and he's off. So is McHugh coming back onto court. We'll work it out. Cooper Spillane's back on. Jake Kavanagh's back on. Two and a half minutes to go to three-quarter time as Jassa Sandoval sitting high under the basket with his one-hand reach, puts it in off the glass for two. He's now blocked in, but they release him as the Wheelcats go into offense through Spillane and Moncrief. Moncrief looking for options. The defense for the Salties working very hard to keep the Wheelcats players out of shooting range. Finally, Jake Kavanagh takes the shot, but it bounces away, leaving Jalen Brown to bring the ball back up the court. Working his way, gets past Jake Kavanagh without falling out and without Kavanagh committing a foul. This is Clarence McCarthy-Grogan wheeling his way around the left side of the keyway to an open shot for two more. Margins out over 30 now, 65-33. It was 26 points the margin at half-time. Pinder has the ball knocked away out of his hands, so it'll be a red ball from the baseline. Still with time on the clock to get the shot away. Simon Corrick looking to come in, and he'll come in for Frank Pinder. Ball's back into play now. This is Cooper Spillane. Spillane across the court as Moncrief with Jassa Sandoval on his face. Can't take the shot. Puts it over to Spillane. Spillane doesn't get the shot away before the shot clock runs out. So the restart will come from the sideline. CMG. Clarence McCarthy-Grogan brings the ball into Jalen Brown. Back to McCarthy-Grogan. Looking for options. Confronted by Kavanagh. Screen from Jassa Sandoval allows McCarthy-Grogan a laneway. Can't get the ball to drop though, and Moncrief cleans up. Releases Evans down the right wing. Evans looking for options. Thought he was fouled. Keep playing the ball. Stripped by Brown out of the hands of Kavanagh. Releases McCarthy-Grogan all the way to the basket. Can't get it to go and out of control. Jassa Sandoval can't draw in the offensive rebound and it goes out of court. A lot of action there for no points. Wheelcats now in possession through Evans and Moncrief now. Moncrief into the front court. Wheels the ball out to the left. Takes the long range shot for three, bounces away, and Brown drags in yet another rebound. Brown now looking for options. Works his way to Jassa Sandoval on the keyway for 2. And we're running down to three-quarter time with less than 30 seconds left. Spillane has a fast-moving Moncrief into the front court. Looking for Kavanagh, knocked away by McCarthy Grogan. Cleaned up by Spillane. Spillane looking for Moncrief. Moncrief behind the back, almost loses control. Running out of time. Corrick looking for Evans, misses the pass, and Jassa Sandoval cleans up. This time it's McCarthy Grogan with 0.1 of a second. Lets the ball go, but it doesn't drop. 67 to 33 at the last change. The lead's blown out to 34 points. And having a look at the Darwin Salties scorers and looking at the stat sheet there, Jalen Brown, 24 points and 10 rebounds, 3 assists in there as well. Tom O'Neill-Thorne with 23 points and 6 rebounds, 10 assists. So he's on the mark for the season, averaging 10 assists per game. He's racked that up to go along with his 23 points, a double-double already. 12 points to Jasso Sandoval. He's got 5 rebounds in there as well. Jalen Brown with 10 has a double-double with his 24 points for the home side. We're looking at the point-scoring prowess of Tom McHugh, leading the way with 10 points. He's also got 5 assists and 4 rebounds. Jake Kavanagh has 9 points to three-quarter time, leading the scoring for the Wheelcats. Further scorers, 4 points to Frank Pinder, 3 to Cooper Spillane, a couple to Phil Evans, and there's a couple in there to Jordan Moritz, and 3 to Ben Moncrief. But at three-quarter time, there's a lot of work to be done, not only in this game, but over the next 2 games over the weekend. The Darwin Salties would be short price favourites to take out game 1 of 3, leading by 34 points at the last change. Does this prompt either coach to start spreading the play through their benches? The 34-point margin at the long break. Well, it's allowed Tracy York to send Melissa Dunn back out. And at this stage, for the Wheelcats look unchanged at this stage. You've got Phil Evans, Jake Kavanagh, Ben Moncrief, Cooper Spillane and Simon Corrick on court at the moment. And sitting out at the moment. Still haven't seen Joel Swadling. He's still sitting on the bench, waiting for his chance to come in. So underway for this final period, the fourth quarter action, 34-point margin. White finds O'Neill-Thorne. O'Neill-Thorne looking for Brown in the keyway. 2 more. O'Neill-Thorne picks up another assist, and Brown picks up 2 more points. Gives him 25 by my reckoning. As I said, on the way to his season average of 28 points per game. O'Neill-Thorne averages 16. He's certainly bettered that, but he's on target with his assists per game. This is the Wheelcats now through Moncrief, taking the shot, bounces away, and Clarence McCarthy-Grogan brings in the rebound. He's done quite well on the rebound count tonight. He's got 6 rebounds. That makes it 7, and 7 assists in there as well. So he's the go-to guy to set up the plays. The scorers are coming from number 15 and number 0. Long-range shot drops in for another couple for the Darwin Salties. The margin grows. It's getting out to 38 points now. This is Moncrief to Spillane. Spillane from right just inside the three-point arc, and Moncrief passes it away, and that's a cross-court violation. We couldn't quite drag that back in before the ball went out into the back court. Jalen Brown wheeling in. And we'll have a timeout called. So, just let's talk it over. Let's slow things down. It's a very quick start for the Darwin Salties after three-quarter time. It's got out to 71 points to 33. Got 8.5 minutes to go to try and get some sort of respect out of this game, and ease the damage, and then do a bit of soul searching before Game 2 tomorrow and Game 3 on Sunday. As I said earlier tonight, in National Wheelchair Basketball League, we've got wins to the Roller Hawks over the Southern District Spartans, 62 points to 50, and to the Manly Wheel Eagles, 65 points to 44 over the Southern District Titans. You can catch up with all the action, all the news, the views, the reviews at Wheelchair Basketball Online, wba.net.au. You can find us on the socials, on Facebook, Instagram. We're everywhere. Check us out. Follow us wherever you can. Wheelchair Basketball on Facebook and Insta, of course. And wba.net.au. Thanks to Beluga. Competition sponsors this year, WBA. 73 points to 33. The margin hits 40 for the first time tonight. As the Wheelcats now looking to do damage limitation, I would think, for the last 8 minutes. And that ball knocked away defensively into the path of Clarence McCarthy-Grogan, who releases Tom O'Neill-Thorne for another bucket down the other end. And the damage limitation's not working at the moment. Still hemorrhaging points at the wrong end for the Wheelcats. That was almost a backcourt violation. Referee Hislop had his eye on that. Allowed it to go on. That ball thrown away from Moncrief, picked off by McCarthy-Grogan, who Jalen Brown loses possession. Picked up by Spillane. Tries to find Evans and's picked off by Tom O'Neill-Thorne. The captain of the Salties played a great game tonight, the Darwin captain. O'Neill-Thorne pulls up just inside the free throw line to Melissa Dunn, to Jalen Brown, back to O'Neill-Thorne. Still got plenty of time on the shot clock. Melissa Dunn can't wheel that in and loses possession. Taken away by Big Ben Moncrief and fouled. That'll be a foul on Tom O'Neill-Thorne. And we get Moncrief back on his wheels. Cooper Spillane and Phil Evans coming out. Tom McHugh and Frank Pinter coming back in. James Chapman and Luis Eduardo Sandoval comes back in for Simon White and Jalen Brown having a rest. So Tracy York using the opportunity to use the bench. It is game 1 of 3, so plenty of opportunity for the players to get on court over the 3 games. And when you've got a 40-point lead, why wouldn't you? McHugh now with his left, trusty left hand, bounces away. McCarthy-Grogan blocked in legally. Now gets out, releases O'Neill-Thorne. Puts a cross-court pass to Jassa Sandoval. Gets knocked away. McCarthy-Grogan with the rebound. And this time Jassa Sandoval sitting under the basket gets his 3. We just need to hold the ball up now as we get Frank Pinder back on the wheels in the backcourt, or the front court for the Wheelcats. That's been completed. And we'll restart. McHugh, inbound pass, finds Moncrief. Moncrief to Kavanagh. Kavanagh confronted by Clarence McCarthy-Grogan. Gets around him with a bit of help from Simon Corrick. Corrick now with the ball under the basket. It's knocked away by Jassa Sandoval. And a quick outlet pass finds O'Neill-Thorne. Now confronted by Ben Moncrief. Slows the ball down. Allows his teammates to come in. Finds an open laneway down the middle and knocks it in for 2. Jake Kavanagh, very casual, going with that inbound pass, almost stolen by O'Neill-Thorne. Keeps possession just, releases McHugh. McHugh comes into the keyway. No basket. And the foul called on McCarthy-Grogan. Are we going to allow Joel Swaddling to come into the game? It's a big question. Haven't seen him yet. Oh, the ball just doesn't drop for McHugh. Gets his own rebound and the putback doesn't go either. The foul's called on Melissa Dunn. That's another foul on Mel. She's certainly working her way onto the stat sheet, but probably not for the right reasons. Tom McHugh now on the sideline. A couple of players that Coach Ettridge could use. Still haven't seen Joel Swaddling, Tyson Williams, or Nat Hongsree, our Thai player. All the rest of the players have seen some sort of court time, bar those three at this stage. But as I said, it's game 1 of 3. Chances over the weekend to play the full bench, the full squad. Meanwhile, the scoring continues down at the southern end of the court, with 2 more points to the Darwin Salties as they make a statement in this opening game. 81 points to 34 at the moment. McHugh's shot is short. Cleaned up by Pinder and stolen away from him by Luis Eduardo Justice Sandoval. Through Thomas O'Neill-Thorne to Clarence McCarthy-Grogan, who's waiting for teammates. He's going to bring up an assist rather than make the shot. He's the playmaker. Not afraid to take the shot, but he would prefer to pass it off, and he does. Justice Sandoval from the free throw line. Bounces off the front, bounces away. We've got a foul being called. Wheelcats player coming over the back. Then Moncrief monstering over the top of Melissa Dunn. Salties with the ball in. The 14-second offensive clock. Justice Sandoval to O'Neill-Thorne to McCarthy-Grogan. McCarthy-Grogan now with help from Chapman. Finds Justice Sandoval, the low post on the left-hand side. It's too hard. Hits the back of the ring and bounces away. McHugh releases Moncrief. Moncrief to Pinder. Pinder on his own. Off the glass. Can't make it fall. Justice Sandoval cleans up in defence. Releases McCarthy-Grogan. McCarthy-Grogan now going right-hand side. Back to O'Neill-Thorne. Just inside the free throw line for 2. Timeout called by Coach Ettridge. 4 and a bit minutes left. Might be running out of those timeouts at this stage, but 34 points to 83. It's almost a 50-point game at this stage. The Darwin Salties showing why they are the team to beat this year. They are the defending champions from season 2024 when they won the gold medal game over the Wollongong Rollerhawks and relegating the Perth Wheelcats to play the bronze medal game, which they duly won. But the success of the Perth Wheelcats across both programs, men and women, is noted. They have won many titles in wheelchair basketball through the years. It's not going to be their night tonight. They're trailing by 49 points with 4 minutes and change left in this fourth and final period of play. Tracy York just laying out what we can do now. Spread the ball, I guess. Keep the scoring going. And Wheelcats now with a bit of work to do. We've got our wish. We've got our extra players coming into the game. So Mike McDonald for the first time. Nat Hongsree is out on the court. Joel Swaddling's out on the court. Jordan Moritz is out on the court. Cooper Spillane, the only starter, has come out on the court. So 4 minutes and 20 seconds left. And Coach Ettridge has decided, well, let's see what these squad players can do. Moritz finds McDonald. McDonald can't get that ball to drop. It's cleaned away. Some nice work there. Moritz working away in defence. This is Jalen Brown confronted by Moritz to Jasso Sandoval for 2 more. Spillane, inbound pass. Finds Moritz. It's got Hongsree out on the right. Swaddling going down the middle and McDonald out on the left. Spillane into McDonald. McDonald takes the shot off the glass, bounces away. Swaddling just out of position for the rebound, and Brown comes away with it for the Salties. Brown over to O'Neill-Thorne. Inside pass to Blackmore for 2. Spillane again using Moritz and bringing the ball now through Spillane's lap into the front court. Players left and right. There's congestion there. Swaddling. He's caught out of place. Being blocked in by Chapman. Has Moritz on the right-hand side. Back to Spillane. Spillane now trying to set something up. Back across to Moritz. Moritz, the left-hand shot, long range. Bounces away. No points there, but it was on target. Right till the end. Knocked away by the ring. Jalen Brown gives the opportunity to James Chapman for 2. Can't get it. Brown gets the rebound. Feeds it into Blackmore. Blackmore loses control, and it's cleaned up by Spillane. Spillane now for the Wheelcats. Uses Hongsrey. Hongsrey's first touch of the ball into the front court. Nat Hongsrey, right-hand pass across the keyway. Finds Moritz. Moritz to Spillane. The clock's running down. This is McDonald from long range. It's short on the shot and bounces harmlessly away. Salties ball. 2:26 left on the court. Coach Ettridge leaving it to his bench players. McCarthy Grogan back in. Chapman comes out. Sandoval comes out. Melissa Dunn's going to see this game out. They've been sitting on in foul trouble. This time it's O'Neill Thorne. Back to Brown. Brown work his way around the left-hand side. Just falls out of court, but gets the pass away to Melissa Dunn for 2. An appreciative high five between the players. Cooper Spillane now, the playmaker. Using out there, the experienced one, out of the starting 5. Spillane uses Moritz round the outside. Reach in for McCarthy Grogan. That's illegal. Sideline ball. It'll be Spillane. He's got Moritz. Moritz back to Spillane. All the way across to Nat Hongsrey. Hongsrey stays in court just and gets the ball away, but with no conviction, it bounces into the lap of Tom O'Neill Thorne. Has McCarthy Grogan. Clarence McCarthy Grogan. Long range pass into finds Jalen Brown surrounded by red shirts, but still drags in the pass and puts the ball through the hoop for 2 more. It's been phenomenal tonight. The league leading point scorer by average. 28 points per game coming into tonight. He's an absolute superstar of wheelchair basketball, is Jalen Brown. McCarthy Grogan throws that one away, trying to find O'Neill Thorns, picked off by Spillane. Trying to find Hongsrey, bounces into Moritz. Moritz for 2. Wheelcats celebrate. Stop the run. 2 points. McCarthy Grogan is hit from behind. That's Hongsrey. So McCarthy Grogan will go to the line for 2. The last minutes of play. CMG. Off the back of the ring. 3 for 1. Successful. And 2. So the margin's building. It's gone out past 50 points now. It's 57. A very one-sided game. And all developed after the first timeout in the opening quarter. Tracy York called a timeout when it was 6 points to 5. Since then, it's been pretty much one-way traffic. Hongsrey's pass is picked off, or deflected by Melissa Dunn into the path of Jalen Brown. Brown now out on the left wing. Bounce pass across to McCarthy Grogan. Back to Brown, left unattended. Can't make the ball fall. Joel Swaddling now with the ball, left-hand side, confronted by Alex Blackmore. With a bit of help from Cooper Spillane. They've kept control of the ball, but the clock continues to run down. Swaddling. Ball's deflected out of court from Melissa Dunn's hands. Before Tom O'Neill Thorne can get that. And the final picture in the puzzle, Tyson Williams wheels on for his first seconds of the game. There's only 8.1 seconds left in the game. Wheelcats have 4 of those to make a shot. Inbound pass from Swaddling to Hongsrey. Hongsrey off the iron, bounces away. Tom O'Neill Thorne will grab that and run the clock out. Will he take the long range shot? No, he won't. And that is it. Game 1 of 3 in this National Wheelchair Basketball League competition this weekend. The visiting Darwin Salties have shown up ready to play. 93 points to 36 after 4 periods of play. And that is an eye-opener to the previously league-leading Perth Wheelcats coming to this weekend with a 5-1 record, and the Salties with a 2-1 record. But the Salties have shown up tonight and have won by 57 points. Just to take a final look at the statistics then, the leading point scorers for the Perth Wheelcats. Leading scorers in the end, 11 points to Tom McHugh, 4 points to Jordan Moritz, 4 points also to Frank Pinder, 9 points to Jake Kavanagh. It's bleak reading when only 36 were scored across 4 periods, an average of 9 points per quarter. Put that in perspective, the visiting Salties have 93 points on the board across 4 quarters, led by Tom O'Neill-Thorne with 31 points, 7 rebounds, 12 assists, and Jalen Brown, 31 points, with 14 rebounds and 6 assists. Jasso Sandoval, Luis Eduardo, Jasso Sandoval, 16 points, had 7 rebounds in there as well. And then contributions off the floor coming from Yannick Blair with 6 points to Clarence McCarthy Grogan. But have a look at his stats. He had 11 assists out there while he was sitting on the court. There's also 4 points apiece, 4 points to Alex Blackmore, 2 to Melissa Dunn, and she had the high five with Jalen Brown going past. So that's it for game 1 of 3. A big win to the Darwin Salties to kick off their weekend visiting Perth. So from the Bendat Basketball Centre, a 93-36 win to the Darwin Salties. I'm David Eckhart for Wheelchair Basketball Australia. You can check it all out at wba.net.au. Good night, everyone.